Part 2 of this 3-part series on the Bosluiskloof Pass covers the section from the 2nd to the 6th kilometer. If you intend driving this pass, it's important to watch Part 1 first, which contains the Google Earth orientation clips as well as other important information relating to safety, technical and historical matters. Currently there's an interesting piece of history unfolding with the development of the Wagon route to Beaufort, a 4x4 route. Almost half of the trail follows a historic wagon route to the hinterland of the old days and was in use in the early 1800s. It was in common use until about 1863, when the current pass was built shortly after the road through the Sedimentary was completed. The new, much more accessible road obviously changed forever the lives of the many pioneer settlers and trekboere who were already occupying large areas of land. It's also interesting to note that a whole century went past before a road was eventually built into the Untitled at the Hell in 1962, adding to the mystery of the people who preferred to stay in this remote kloof and who'd had to keep on traversing on foot and by donkey. One can assume that there was contact between the pioneers in the Hell and those who lived at Bosluiskloof. One of the best things about doing this pass is that it represents a final destination. The Bosluiskloof Nature Reserve is situated in a remote area in the Karoo that was always very sparsely inhabited. It's adjacent to a World Heritage Site at its eastern and northern borders and is 70% surrounded by state nature reserves. The reserve is of considerable natural beauty and interest in respect of geology, fossils, botanical value and scenic beauty. There are many different sedimentary formations running east-west across the area, as well as rapid changes in soil and vegetation running north to south. It delivers varied flora species. These features are there to enjoy all year round, and Bosluiskloof was included in the historical fossil collection trip of Atherstone and Bain in the 1870s, which was pioneering South African geology. The sedimentary rock types include the Table Mountain type, Bokkerveld group and Witteberg group. The reserve includes interesting ecosystems and veld types such as Renosterveld, Klein Swartberg fynbos, Succulent Karoo, Rivierbosveld, Gannaveld and Spekboomveld. The reserve lies on the northern slopes of the Swartberg mountain range and includes the foothills of the Groot Swartberg. An interesting aspect is that the reserve borders on the Gamkapoort Dam, which is the confluence of the Gamka, Dweka and Bosluiskloof rivers. The confluence of these rivers is the historical departure point of water flowing to the Indian Ocean. When the water passes through the Great Swartberg Range through to the Klein Karoo, the Olifants and Buffels rivers join in and eventually it becomes the Gourits River, which flows into the Indian Ocean close to Mossel Bay. The Bosluiskloof Nature Reserve forms part of the newly established Gourits Mega Park. The Karoo thicket vegetation covers some 4,000 hectares and stretches east-west over the middle part of the reserve, just south of the river bush. It's an endless sea of Karoo koppies extending between the river bush and Hartmannsberg. In this part of the reserve, you'll commonly find the Cape Hyrax or Dassie, as well as antelope that roam in this area like Klipspringer and Kudu. Large areas of the reserve are covered in spekbos with patches of grass. Trees and shrubs include sweetthorn, karee, guarri, pendoring and taibos. The Karoo Brokenveld extends some 3,500 hectares in an east-west line and consists largely of smaller shrubs and smaller trees along the drainage lines. The mountain fynbos area of the reserve extends over the highveld of the southern area, also stretching east-west for some 3,000 hectares and incorporating Hartmannsberg that runs through the middle of Bosluiskloof. It contains all three elements of fynbos, but proteas are quite scarce. The river bush zone obviously follows the Bosluiskloof River for about 18 kilometers down to the Gamkapoort Dam and covers about 1,500 hectares. At the 5.7 kilometer point, the road enters this narrow poort. It is here that Adam de Smet built substantial retaining walls to keep the river away from the road. These walls have been severely damaged several times during flood periods over the last 150 years and have now been repaired using cement, but this is a worthwhile place to stop and enjoy the remarkable scenery. Be sure to watch part 3 of the Bosluiskloof Pass, which covers the final few kilometers and ends at the Bosluiskloof Lodge.